The case I chose for the purpose of my oral presentation and topic of my final paper is the Hazelwood School District versus Kuhlmeier case, which involved a dispute over articles in a student newspaper called The Spectrum that was sponsored by Hazelwood East High School. The respondent, Kuhlmeier, argued that her and her fellow students who worked for the newspaper had their First Amendment rights violated when the principal declared that 2 articles they wrote for the May 1983 issue had to be deleted. The school district argued that due to the fact the newspaper is funded by the school, they have the authority to decide whether the material is appropriate or not. It is important to make note that the printing expenses during the 1982 to 1983 school year totaled $4,668.50, and that revenue from the paper sales was only $1,166.84, according to reference.com. Also, according to the same online source, the other costs associated with the newspaper, including supplies, textbooks, a portion of the journalism teacher's salary, whose class the students were writing the articles for, were all taken care of entirely by the board. Even though Kuhlmeier and her fellow former students recognized the paper was funded by the school, they felt as though they took proper precautions to abide with school policy, and that therefore their freedom of speech had in fact been violated. The articles in dispute involved a pregnancy story about a fellow student whose name had been changed. The students argued that due to the fact the individual's name had been changed, no harm could be done and the article should still be able to be published. The school district, however, fought back by saying that the story was still invasive to the person it was about and that the references to sexual activity and birth control was much too advanced for younger students. The second article was a story about a divorce one of the students' parents were going through, which originally included the student's name when the principal first reviewed the article. The principal and school administrators believed the parent should have needed to give consent before having details of their divorce announced publicly. This case was significant for quite a few reasons. First off, it overrode the precedent set in the Tinker case, which took place in 1969, and ruled that censorship of a student's speech was only permitted if the speech violated the rights of other students or caused a major disruption on campus. The majority opinion said that this case was different due to the fact that the school administrators shouldn't be required to tolerate speech that counteracts the school's academic mission. Overall, this case provided a basis of limited First Amendment protection of speech for students who contributed to school-sponsored publications. The reason for limited First Amendment protection of speech for students who contribute to school-sponsored publications is due to the fact that majority opinion agreed with the school district and that the newspaper could be viewed as expressing beliefs of the school, and if school administrators didn't agree with the messages conveyed, they should be able to control what does and doesn't make it into the newspaper for the best interest of their school. In conclusion, both parties involved in this case brought up some very valid points. It makes sense as to why Kuhlmeier and other former students claim their freedom of speech protected by the First Amendment had indeed been violated. However, I also think it makes a whole lot of sense that the school district was uncomfortable with permitting students to publish articles they didn't view as appropriate. Ultimately, the students' voices conveyed in their writing for the newspaper articles affects the school's overall image, and is why I believe Kuhlmeier ultimately lost this case. I look forward to further researching this case and have had a lot of fun learning what I have provided to you so far in this presentation, and think that a lot of the content involved in what I just shared with you has related to what we have been talking about all semester thus far, and I hope from watching my presentation you have learned a lot, and stay tuned. Thank you.